This is the stupid thing that actually I've got a talk which was accepted for ADI this year, but I can't go to Chicago. Why? Because I'm looking after my mum with dementia. And you would have thought that with dementia friendly communities, you'd at least make an effort. But anyway, I thought I'd present to you on this anyway and upload it on YouTube as ADI can't present MP4s yet. Maybe give them 10 years. The talk is called An Assets-Based Approach to Dementia-Friendly Communities, and it's very clunky. What is dementia? Well, I'm sorry, this is a standard picture of a brain, and dementia happens when there's a pathological process which normally happens over years and affects any part of the brain. As the dementia process extends, more and more functions are lost, and this can range from memory to planning to visual perception, and is stressful for everyone concerned, including, of course, immediate family members. And what is a dementia-friendly community? Well, even since 2012, this has escaped definition. We're not really sure what friendly means or how large a community is. Anyway, this is not new news and won't be resolved in the near future. The World Health Organization, United Nations, have instead these Sustainable Development Goals, which need to for every society to flourish, and they relate to things like the social determinants of health. And unsurprisingly, right to health is very important. Health is not the same as absence of illness. It's defined by the World Health Organization as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. And this means that everyone's treated equally. There's been remarkably little enthusiasm allowing dementia-friendly communities with the rest of the world policy. If anything, age-friendly communities bear some of the qualities of a dementia-friendly community. And there's a view that community well-being is unrealistic. Actually, health is the ability to adapt and self-manage in the face of social, physical, and emotional challenges, and followers the work of Uber will already know this. So, it's assumed, and we don't often think about why or how it's assumed, but no, it's assumed that we take a deficit approach, which means over the years the criteria of the deficits qualia and the number of them have changed, altering whether you want to have dementia or not. But in fact, cognition is a continuum, therefore, the idea dementia plus bonus is ridiculous, and deficit models focus on identifying problems, and it can be somewhat demoralizing. In year n plus 2, oh, you got much worse on this, and job done, and nothing to be said for it. And as dementia progresses, there are increasing levels of dependence, which has an impact on everyone, including health and social care services, which means that it's absolutely nonsensical to think of dementia-friendly communities as divorced from the rest of health services. A tradition has been for dementia to be viewed in terms of deficits, and the deficits are useful, but actually reminding people what they can't do has a very negative impact on their self-esteem. This is not rocket science, is true. And uh, this at a time when allegedly we're trying to encourage people to self-manage and things with long-term conditions, we're giving them all the bad news, not a great way to motivate them to self-manage. It's a paper in Nursing Times in Press. The definition, but I find the word asset really rather clunky and laborious, and I've cited it in my new book, which will be published around the middle of August, on assets, deficits, resilience and frailty. But there you go. Assets, repertoire, potentials, internal and external strength, qualities, and innate and acquired, which can mobilize health behaviors and optimal health. So there's a bit of overlap between uh, different words, strengths, capabilities, assets, resources. And this approach fundamentally helps people to think positively about their circumstances, is realistic, but as it identifies what is readily available, is inclusive, relevant to dementia-friendly communities, and encourages reciprocity, encourages independence and interdependence, and facilitates the valuing of others, what matters to people, working with people or for or to them. And implicit in this is also social health, which can't get ignored in this two-line history of the medics. Alcohol nil, smoking nil, lives in bungalow. There's a bit more to social health on that, and involves connectedness, networks, trust, reciprocity, feelings of belonging. And if you don't believe me, think of the impact of not having them, like loneliness. Social health acknowledges people can experience well-being despite medical condition. That's important, and this brings me on to personhood. Pounds of grit would recognise the grit flower, and persons don't want to be defined by their illnesses, and this is a problem if you then generate a whole policy plank on called dementia-friendly communities. And this former paper in press argues that we're taking an over-medicalised approach, and this excludes people and is not good for the wider approach to preserving well-being. Inclusive is not a minor issue. Irving Goffman, who wrote a very famous book on stigma, if you're a neurologist, you might not know about it, but if you've done part one of psychiatry, you will know about it. Stigma is defined by Goffman as a mark of discredited identity in humanity, latterly been characterized by labeling stereotypes as separate, discrimination, state laws. Well, in fact, the sense of otherness is a big problem here, and dementia-friendly initiatives are great. They're well meant. I'm sure policy aims are good, but they inadvertently can encourage otherness, and they can encourage segregation, fundamentally offensive to Tom Kitter's personhood. And this stuff can generate stigma, bad news. And again, um, Kate and I wrote about this for our article in Dementia Journal. And segregation can take various forms. One extreme form of it is in the form of assisted living, secure units. Often in dementia care, you have to ask who is this for the convenience for. Is it for the person with dementia, the carer, or somebody else? And and how do you feel if you, after yourself as having dementia, to go into a branded dementia-friendly shopping lane? Well, maybe you'd love it. Maybe it gives you flexibility, choice, and all these other things which have been promoted in policy. Maybe you found it stigmatizing and exacerbating otherness. Choice is yours. And the alternative we feel is that a narcissist-based approach would be more appropriate narrative for dementia-friendly communities, and possibly one turbo boost dementia-friendly communities to the next level. But I know my place in the world. Meanwhile, the Arsenal Society are doing great work with making London dementia-friendly. And thinking about this in reality, but I beg your pardon, what does this mean? Well, if you think the hallmark of Alzheimer's early on is problems in social navigation and getting around navigating, then faced with a map like this might be quite off-putting. And the tube is an integral part of the ecosystem within London. Awful word, but you know what I mean. And even if you can handle the tube, uh, map due to function hippocampus, which is shown there in the brain, then possibly you might have a problem with visual perception, and this might be, for example, because you have pervasive cortical atrophy, uh, query whether it's a form of Alzheimer's. Well, maybe it is, maybe it is, but anyway, you'd find visual perception very difficult. And so, even if you can work out the map and remember it, you might have trouble with these, which are virtually ubiquitous in the tube. I should know, because it's the reason I don't take the tube, and I haven't done for about 10 years. So, there you go. If you want to think about this model of dementia-friendly communities, Kate and I have got this paper, but other models are available too, such as civil society. OECD thought about the actors in this, for example, state, aka government, businesses, and for others, like third sector. But notice the jigsaw piece called human rights, which is increasingly part of the narrative and should be part of the narrative of dementia-friendly communities. So thank you. That's all I have to say. I'm sorry I couldn't say it in Chicago in the form of a video, but the technology radio is not up to it. Goodbye.